Welcome to Dem Boyz, a podcast with one busted bracket and one successful one. Well, actually, Paul, you had who did you have in the championship?
I had the Gators winning it, but I had them playing Duke, so
Okay,
I'm
yeah, maybe.
half busted, I guess. But
Okay, so we got two successful and one busted. All right, we're one Saints fan, one Cowboys fan, one fan of Who Dat, and one fan of Dat Win. We're here to give weekly takes, game recaps, bad betting picks, game previews, and some Seinfeld references.
this week we are now almost 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, and in honor of the national champion men's basketball Florida Gators, we're going to highlight two former first-round picks of the Saints and Cowboys that are Gator alums. With that in mind, our patron saint this week is wide receiver Wes Chandler. Chandler was selected third overall by the Saints in 1978. He would play 4 seasons with the Saints, earning a Pro Bowl selection after his second season, in which he topped the 1,000-yard receiving mark. On September 30th, 1981, Chandler was traded to the San Diego Chargers, where he participated in that year's legendary playoff game titled The Epic in Miami. This is the famous game that you may have seen Kellen Winslow being carried
off the field, yep,
by his teammates. In that game, Chandler caught 6 passes for 106 yards, and he also returned a punt 56 yards for a touchdown in what proved to be a Chargers 41-38 victory. Chandler would remain with the Chargers through the 1987 season, and he was then traded to the 49ers in 1988. While with the Chargers, Chandler topped the 1,000-yard receiving mark twice, 1982 and 1985. In 1988, after he was traded to the 49ers, he played 4 games before retiring due to tendonitis in his knee and frustration over his performance. The 49ers went on to win the Super Bowl that year. I should point out, on Pro Football Reference, Chandler is listed as a Super Bowl champion.
Yes, I just saw that. But
for that's worth.
He didn't contribute to the group project, but he got the A.
For what it's worth. In his career, Chandler had 8,966 receiving yards, which I believe the career category receiving yards is 5,000.
Correct.
Or more. He also went to 4 Pro Bowls, and he was inducted into the Chargers Hall of Fame.
Our patron cowboy this week is a very, very obvious choice. It is Emmitt James Smith III, who was drafted 17th overall in the first round, which is the same overall pick as C.D. Lamb. The Cowboys have had some success with that pick in the 1990 NFL draft out of Florida, where he had set team records for most rushing yards in a season, rushing yards in a single game, 316, longest rushing play, 96 yards, career rushing yards with 3,928, and career rushing yards per game at 126.7. He finished 7th in Heisman voting his last year, and then Smith would then, after being drafted by the Cowboys, spend 13 years with the team and earn a list of accolades that includes 8 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, a 1993 League MVP, Super Bowl 28 MVP, which was incorrectly given to him and should have gone to James Washington, as I've discussed on the show before. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1990. He's also the NFL's all-time leading rusher and holds the record for most rushing touchdowns with 164. His total touchdowns of 100 and I believe it's 176. I don't know if they're including the passing touchdown that he had. But he's second only to Jerry Rice. He also spent 2 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. His first season there, he returned to Texas Stadium, but that game was cut short when Roy Williams hit him so hard that he broke his collarbone or broke his shoulder blade. And so Emmitt finished that game with -1 yards rushing, the first time in his career that he finished with negative rushing yards. The next season, Denny Green of the they are who we thought they were fame named Emmett the starter. Emmett, in his last season in the league, would have 937 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns, and became the oldest player in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass on a 21-yard touchdown pass against the New Orleans Saints in Week 4. Just had to throw that one in there for you, Paul.
So
he is in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Yeah. You think so? For the record, Pro Football Reference, he has 164 rushing touchdowns.
Correct.
He has 11 receiving touchdowns, and then the 1 passing touchdown. So what's that? 170.
176. Yep.
Yeah. So just to audit that.
It's kind of odd that he only had 11 receiving touchdowns over that whole career. I guess he got the ball out of the backfield, but I guess
you had Novacek too.
Novacek, right? Irvin, Johnston.
Did they have a fullback?
They did. Daryl Johnston. Moose.
Oh yeah, Moose. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Moose.
Well, I don't know.
You know, the guy that calls the games now.
Cut that part out. I'm Paul, the Saints fan.
I'm Brandon, the Cowboys fan.
And we're your hosts. Izzy, tell them what time it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you live that.
Mr. Vanderbaum, please.
It's go time. This one's for you, Pop. It's go time.
It's go time.
You've been married 3 times.
That's it! It's go time!
It's go time.
All right, let's see if I can recover from that snafu. Who's the fullback for those Cowboys teams? Oh, you may have heard of him.
You may have heard of him.
Well,
maybe that's who we should ask. That's who we should ask to follow us this week.
There you go. Is he on social media?
That's a good question.
I don't know. Emmett, I think Emmett is. I want to say I've seen. Well, he has an account. I don't know if it's him. It's probably not.
Yeah, it's probably run by some PR organization.
I know. Troy. Troy has an account. I think because he got in some not hot water, but he or whoever runs his account tweeted out some stuff. While we're talking about social media and we're talking about how to get in touch with the show, I should mention. You can email us, blessdemboys, BLESSDEMBOYZ @gmail.com. Yeah, listen, Moose, Troy, Emmett, Michael Irvin,
any of those legendary anybody on those Cowboys teams, you're welcome to follow us.
Jay Novacek.
I will say, so Daryl Johnston is on Twitter, and he is also followed by Paul the Laps Saints fan Graham.
There you go.
Bat 1,000 tonight, Paul.
Yeah, I just for some reason, me and Moose. I guess we gotta talk it out. I guess I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. So obviously I'm on Twitter. We are on Twitter at bless_dem_boys. I'm at Paul Elliott _316. That's PAULELLIOTT. Brandon is at Ball from Grace on Blue Sky still. I haven't checked. I don't know if we got any new followers lately, but
that's a good question. I'll look that up.
Yeah, but check us out there. We will hopefully gotta get our social media. We we need Darren the intern.
We do
maybe run our social media campaigns
and get that chicken.
You can check us out to listen to the show. You can check us out on Spotify and Apple. Like, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. Appreciate all the feedback. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell random strangers on the street. Tell Moose Johnson I'm sorry that I forgot about him.
To be fair, he hasn't tweeted since April of last year. So we'll he is a lapsed Twitter user, it appears.
I have to say, of former Cowboys who are now analysts, I prefer Moose over Troy.
I think I do too. Troy has always been, as a Cowboys fan, it seemed like he was trying too hard to be non-partisan, and then ended up going the other way too much. Like he would always like
Yeah.
people. If I say anything good about the Cowboys, people are going to accuse me of being a homer. So
Moose, he always worked with Kenny Albert.
yes,
Kenny Albert, he always works.
yeah.
I like that pairing.
It is a good pairing.
Whenever I do listen to the commentary, I'm pro like put the TV on mute most of the time. But
Well, for most of the
anyway.
announcers, that's the right move.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we'll get into some football. We'll actually get into some basketball talk beyond March Madness here in a little bit. But before we do that, we here at Bless Them Boys, we can talk about other things.
But enough about fish. I can discuss other things, you know.
Paul, I'm going to let you lead off because last week I gave you a couple of recommendations that I wanted you to watch.
You did.
You followed through on those.
I followed through, and I did you two better in one instance. But first, let me get to my regular scheduled programming, as it were. We had the White Lotus season finale of season 3 on Sunday. It was a 90-minute episode, very good end of the season. Season as a whole, probably not the best of the series, but had some good things. I personally hope that Carrie Coon wins an Emmy for this show. If you don't know who Carrie Coon is, she's I first saw her in The Leftovers, which was a show on HBO years ago.
Is she? She's the sad, lonely woman. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
In The Leftovers, yeah.
That is that we've talked about this before because we're both big fans of that show. Excellent.
Did you read the book?
I did read the book.
Yeah. So the book, which you probably are aware, so the show is 3 seasons long, but the book only covers season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So seasons 2 and 3 are kind of original material, as it were.
I don't know if I told you, but I've been to because the second and third seasons were filmed in Texas.
Right.
They're filmed in Lockhart.
Yeah, but what do they call in the show? Miracle?
Yeah, Miracle.
Yeah.
So I've been there, and the barbecue restaurant that they mention on the show is like my favorite barbecue place to go to. If I could like go to any barbecue place, like we'll stop there. It's called Smitty's, and so they mentioned it on the show. They actually go into it, so it was like a really cool moment on the show.
Yeah, it's a great show. I should probably revisit it. It's not like it's not the kind of show you're just gonna. It's not Seinfeld. Like you're not just gonna.
No, it's not. It's not exactly the most cheerful show. It's a little heavy.
No. But yeah, White Lotus. Like I said, I hope Carrie Coon gets the Emmy she should have gotten for Leftovers. Hopefully, she gets it for this. One show that is kind of cheerful is Righteous Gemstones, which is still hilarious.
Another Walton Goggins.
Another Walton Goggins, man, he's great.
I need to get you on to Justified.
Yeah, I watched the first episode years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to test drive it, and I just didn't. I didn't make it past one episode, but it wasn't that it wasn't good. It was just there were other,
other stuff going
things,
on.
Yeah, other things.
Yeah, I would recommend that because especially Walton Goggins is in the first episode, but he kind of builds up into the main bad guy in that show.
And what made me want to watch it was I had finished watching Deadwood
with Timothy Oliphant.
With Oliphant, and so I was kind of in that headspace, and then but yeah, I'll put Justified's definitely on the radar. I'll put that one. And then the studio, I mentioned this show last week. This is the Apple TV show that is it stars Seth Rogen as like this studio executive who it's almost like a Curb Your
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. But this is almost like a Curb Your Enthusiasm style show in that it's cringy in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
The episode last week's featured Ron Howard. So
Okay.
basically, the premise of the episode was Seth Rogen's character has to give Ron Howard a note, but he can't bring himself to do it. So the whole episode is around him trying to give him this note about Ron Howard's new film, and like he's trying to basically build up the courage to do it. So, yeah, it's a good show. It's funny. So I'm doing a rewatch right now of The Last of Us season 1. The season 2 of The Last of Us kicks off Sunday as we're recording this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing kind of and I'm proud of myself. I only do one episode a day. And so originally for some reason I thought there were only 8 episodes in the first season. So I was like, okay, if I start on Saturday, then I can watch the 8 episodes, and then Sunday I'll watch the new episode. Well, it turns out there's 9 episodes in the first season. So
The plan's shut.
I guess I'm either going to double up, or I'm just going to watch the season finale of season 1 on Sunday and then watch the season premiere, which probably works out better anyway. But have you watched The Last of Us? Have you watched?
I've not. This does remind me. So when you remember the last season of Breaking Bad was like split into 2 segments. Yeah. So when they were about to start, or no, I can't remember if they were going to start the last segment or if we were just going to watch the finale. But me and my wife had like started that show late. And so we needed to watch the whole last season before the finale came out. I'm pretty sure it was just the finale. And so we were trying to catch up. And so we binged that show, the last like season of it, and it was incredibly depressing. That was a show you should not, that was not a show you should binge.
So my Breaking Bad story real quick is I was a big fan of The Walking Dead at the time, and obviously they're both on AMC. And I don't remember what season of Walking Dead this was, but they kept showing previews for the final. Well, yeah, this would be season 5, the first half of the final season of Breaking Bad. And one of the images they would show is the one of Gus Fring walking out of the room that just blew up, and like you see half of his.
One of the greatest episodes of television that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I need to check this out. And they were all on Netflix at this point, or at least the old seasons were on Netflix. So I binged through it on Netflix, and yeah, I watched that final season. I watched live, and then I watched all of Better Call Saul live, and yeah, it's if Seinfeld is my favorite show of all time, which it is, Breaking Bad's probably second. Breaking Bad's probably my favorite drama of all time. And I guess I'll throw better, like that whole universe is just wonderful. But yeah, Last of Us season 2 starts Sunday, so I'm having fun going back and revisiting. I forgot how like something. It's really good. It's a good show. I'm about halfway through season 1 right now on my rewatch. Okay, so let's get to your assignment for me last week. So you gave me 3 films to watch. It was Donnie Darko, Bad Words, and then Hauting in Venice. So I'll start with the first 2. So Donnie Darko I watched first, and it is about what I expected, honestly. Again, I've seen clips of the movie. I just never sat down and watched the whole thing. I mean, yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal is. He's like one of the best like creepy actors we have. Like, if you look at his like IMDb, it's like all these creepy roles with like little things sprinkled in there just to kind of throw your sin on the trail, I guess. Yeah, I guess. But like,
I saw this movie. Go ahead.
No, you. So the other thing I'll say, we were just talking about Seth Rogen in the studio. This was Seth Rogen's first movie. Was Donnie Darko.
It's been so long since I've seen this that I don't even remember him being in there.
He's one of the high school kids who like messes with Donnie. it's like him and I can't remember who plays the other guy, but like they're like the bullies who like bully him and his girlfriend. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, so that was cool to see. I was like, oh, Seth Rogen's in this movie. Okay. And then of course Jake's sister Maggie is in the movie.
His sister in the movie.
Is his sister in the movie, and they have the great scene at the dinner table with let's just say creative name calling.
Yes. the
Um,
I saw this movie when I was in college. It's one of those movies when you see in college, you think, oh, this is like a brilliant work of art. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know if it would hold up the same way if I was watching it again today.
I don't think it's. I definitely. Again, I didn't know much about the plot. I just knew about he's seeing this like imaginary bunny rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
figure, and but I didn't know much beyond that. But yeah, I would say it's good. I mean, I would definitely. I'd recommend if you haven't seen it. Oh, Patrick Swayze. That's who I was trying to. I was like, somebody else was in this movie that I wasn't expecting. It was Patrick Swayze. Just pops up. It's like, all right.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch this movie again. It's probably been a decade since I've seen this.
It is on quite a number of services right now. It's on Hulu. It's on Peacock. I think I watched it on Tubi or Pluto TV. Whatever I watched it on had ads. I just remember.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. When did this come out? 2001. Okay. Yeah.
That sounds about
yeah.
right.
It was definitely.
It's an early 2000s. It's an early 2000s movie for sure.
It's funny because last week we did the Christopher Nolan draft, and I talked about Memento, which also came out in 2001, and it's like this is kind of that time period where like these movies that kind of mess with time and mess with like
maybe this is where Nolan got the idea for using wormholes.
Could be. I mean, yeah. The other thing I found interesting about this was the guy who wrote and directed it, Richard Kelly, didn't really
Kelly?
do a no
Wrong R. Kelly.
But he didn't really do a lot outside of this. He wrote a screenplay for a movie called Domino in 2005, which
with Keira
is
Knightley.
Yeah,
I saw that movie. I remember enjoying that movie because he was a bounty hunter.
Yeah. She's a bounty hunter, and Mickey Rourke's in it. That was one of those movies that I had a roommate who was like, "Man, you gotta see this movie." It's like,
yeah,
you gotta see this movie. But yeah, he kind of. I don't know what else he direct, but he didn't direct Domino. He just wrote the screenplay for it. But anyway, okay. Then the next movie was Bad Words, which I had not heard of this movie at all. Was pleasantly surprised by it. Bateman. It's Jason Bateman, Catherine Hahn, and Catherine Hahn's just good in anything. And again, another connection to the studio. Catherine Hahn is in the studio as well.
I think that my wife and I rented this from Redbox. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow!
Someone like told us about it. One of her old coworkers, and so she was like, "Go see this," and so we found it at Redbox.
Nice. What I'll say is, like I said, it was surprising. I enjoyed it. I think. I may have texted you this. Bateman's performance, he had moments where he had kind of a Robin Williams energy to him.
Uh-huh.
In that I would have liked to have seen Robin Williams in this role. Like if they had made it like in the 90s.
Like an earlier version of it.
Yeah, and Robin Williams is in this part. And like the whole idea that the loophole is that he didn't finish eighth grade, so he can be in these spelling bees, and like he's getting in fights with all the
I know
parents. And it's like it's just And then Allison Janney is great for her role. Philip Baker Hall, Bookman, our beloved Bookman from Seinfeld, is great. I want to say this is like Philip Baker Hall's one of his last roles because I want to say this might be one of his final roles. I actually meant to look that up, and I didn't. I didn't look it up, but yeah. So Bad Words definitely gets a thumbs up. And then you I don't want to say suggested, but you asked that I watch A Haunting in Venice. Well, as I was looking up where to find A Haunting in Venice, and you had mentioned there was a Hercule Poirot story. I happened to find out that Kenneth Branagh, who plays Poirot in the movie, directed 3 of these movies. He directed Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and then A Haunting in Venice. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do Brandon one better. I'm just gonna watch all 3, but I watched them in order that they were released, starting with Murder on the Orient Express. Murder on the Orient Express, I think, is very good. It's a loaded cast, like.
Yeah, I remember that being like a big
Willem Dafoe and Michelle Pfeiffer, and is Catherine Hahn in that one too? I don't think so, but like just this really loaded cast, and I thought it was very well done, and I really liked Branagh's performance. And then we go to Death on the Nile, and the cast is still good. It's a little problematic. So Gal Gadot is in it. Obviously, it's Wonder Woman. But then like Russell Brand is in it, and that in 2025, that's not a great thing. And then Armie Hammer, who is kind of not doing well in 2025 either. So it's kind of problematic casting at that point, but definitely not as good as Murder on the Orient Express. And then I watched the one you had suggested or asked me to watch, A Haunting in Venice. We were talking about this before we turned the mics on. By that one, it just felt like Branagh was just done. Like his energy's weird.
There's no energy. It's very just like flat.
The Tina Fey casting, as I mentioned to you, is kind of
it doesn't
weird.
work.
Doesn't work. I listened to, after I watched the movie, I listened to a podcast that was reviewing the movie, and they suggested Julia Louis-Dreyfus in that role. And I don't know if it had been much better, but I kind of would have liked to see it. I don't know.
Yeah, Tina Fey is just like not the right person. Yeah. I like Tina Fey, and I like Tina Fey. Yeah. It's just that one.
It also, I didn't realize this until maybe halfway through the movie. Kelly Riley from Yellowstone is in Haunting in Venice. She plays the owner of the palazzo that they have the seance in and all that. But yeah, so I would say Murdering the Orient Express, thumbs up. The other 2,
skip them.
You can skip them if you're short on time. Other things I watched this week. So obviously, I think while we were recording last week, the news came down. Val Kilmer passed away. So rest in peace to Val Kilmer. So I decided I wanted to watch a movie of his that I had not seen. Obviously, I've talked about Heat on the show before. So I watched The Saint, which I guess is appropriate. Which funny thing. So
surprised you didn't do you should have done a Batman for Forever rewatch. Or Batman and Robin.
I don't remember. I saw him when I was younger, but funny thing about watching The Saint, I watched it on Paramount Plus, and when you watch something on Paramount or on any streaming service, they'll give you like recommendations based on what you watched. So like, but the way they do it on Paramount Plus, it says, so it has movie title, fans also watch. So this one was The Saint fans also watch, and then it gives you this movie. And I was like, wait, why would Saint fans?
What are Saint fans watching this for?
Yeah, why are Saint fans watching Mission Impossible? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Getting rid of getting rid of the Derek Carr contract.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, the Saint was. I mean, his performance was very good. I mean, it's a typical mid '90s. Like, have you seen it? Have you seen the Saint?
No.
It's based on a. I believe it's based on a TV show from the '70s. He basically plays a secret agent. It's kind of like a Born Identity
Mm.
type, but not to that
I've
level
seen
of.
Boondock Saints.
No, yeah, not the same, not the same thing. I've seen that too, but no. But yeah, so rest in peace to Val Kilmer. And then I watched two classic movies I had never seen before: Misery
Mm.
by starring
The
Kathy
Stephen
Bates
Stephen
and
King,
James.
right?
So Stephen King, it's Rob Reiner who directed A Few Good Men and When Harry Met Sally. Stand by Me. Like this is right in that middle of that run, and this movie comes out in 1990, and it's really good. I had never seen it. Again, that's another one that like I knew of it. Um, Family Guy did a whole parody about it. Like I
Mm.
knew about the story, but watching it, yeah, it's. I mean, Kathy Bates is frighteningly good in that role. She won the Oscar for it.
Kathy
So
Bates, is that from isn't she is she the one on The Office?
yes,
Okay. The
after
Joe,
Michael
Joe,
leaves,
yeah, it's
or
the
no,
Saber.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she also you may know her from she's the in the Water Boy. She plays Adam Sandler's mama. Uh, but yeah, great performance by her and also by James Caan. I mean, it really good movie. And then I watched John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. Um, so again, it's another one I knew about, and like it's like I don't know about I'm not a big horror movie guy. But this movie is really well done. It's more like I came away from it like this is a murder mystery, almost in the same vein as like the Perot movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the only difference is like you have this like alien thing that's taking over people's bodies, and you don't know. It's this whole thing about paranoia and all this. I mean, I was really blown away by how good it was. So two, like I said, two classics there. Then I watched Lincoln from was this 2012? I think this is the Daniel Day Lewis.
I was trying to think of that. I was like, it's one of those actors
Yeah,
with three names, and he
yeah.
won an Oscar for it, and
So
he's really tall.
yeah, so yeah, he's wonderful. Tommy Lee Jones plays Stevens. I don't remember his first name.
So this movie is only with people with three names: Tommy Lee
Yeah,
Jones,
basically
Daniel Day Lewis.
Daniel Day Lewis,
They should have gotten Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Tippy Tippy Day Day. Uh, so Sally Field's in it, so that breaks the streak there.
Come on,
But
Sally.
Sally Field plays Mrs. Lincoln, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in this movie.
Did anyone see Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah,
Did anybody
I didn't
ask?
think about it.
Did anybody ask Sally Field how was the other than that? How was the play, Miss Lincoln?
No, they they don't they didn't highlight that part of his history. It was more about him getting the this is really based around the Civil War and like that whole time period. Trying to think who else is in this movie that like it's a bunch of like that guy actors as you're like, oh, I know him from this, or I don't, but yeah, for like a 2.5 hour movie, it kind of went by pretty, and for given the subject matter, it's like, oh, this movie's flying by pretty good.
Speaking of that guy actors, this week the kids were watching the Princess Diaries
Okay,
with Anne Hathaway, but the stylist is the doorman.
Larry Miller. Larry
Yep,
Miller. Yeah.
Larry Miller. Yep, I saw him.
How about
Is that the doorman?
how about those Knicks?
Yeah,
Uh,
he has a very cheap
yeah,
fake Italian accent. Not very good.
yeah. Well, he was Larry Miller was going to be George
Right.
originally, or
Yeah,
he was in the running.
I think we talked about this on the show.
We talked about it with the
And with the
fellows
guys.
from this podcast making Thursday.
That's right.
All right, two more here, and then I'll kick it over to you. But Contagion. This is a 2011 movie by Steven Soderbergh. This movie gained a lot of, I don't want to say popularity, but when we obviously just passed the 5-year anniversary of COVID-19 and like all the shutdowns, related to that. When that happened, this movie shot up the charts on like iTunes, everywhere, because this is basically about a virus that originates in Hong Kong and becomes a pandemic level event. And it's like,
Boy, they really nailed the location of where it started, didn't they?
It's kind of freaky, honestly. About like if you watch this, I'm guessing you haven't seen.
No,
this
I've
movie.
not. I played a game.
So
I played a game called Contagion.
So if you watch this movie and the details that are in the movie, it's very well done. It's got a lot of stars in it too. It's like Gwyneth Paltrow, Matt Damon, Kate Winslet, Lawrence Fishburne, Ewan McGregor. So it's star power to the max. But yeah, like especially at the beginning of the movie where they're kind of establishing like, because it kind of follows a timeline of like here's the patient, here's patient 0, and goes through that, and then it goes all the way through like, can we come up with a vaccine, and how do we distribute the vaccine? Like it's really like, oh,
spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. So I definitely recommend. Probably of all the things I watched, I would say watch that, because it's almost documentary. It's almost a documentary. And then last but not least, I watched so yesterday, and I'm going to bring this up because it'll lead into probably what I'm going to be watching over the next couple of weeks. 2 trailers dropped. One was for the Mission Impossible movie, the supposedly the last Mission Impossible movie, but we'll see. And then another one was for a movie called The Phoenician Scheme, which is by Wes Anderson, which we've talked about some of his movies.
I'm not a big Wes Anderson guy.
Yeah, well, he's a local guy. I think he's born in Houston, or Austin. I can't remember. But anyway, so those movies. So the Mission Impossible movie comes out May 23rd, and then Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson's new movie, comes out May 30th. So in preparation for that, I'm trying to get through Wes Anderson's the rest of his filmography that I haven't seen. So with that, I watched his first featured film, which is Bottle Rocket. This is from 1996. It stars the Wilson brothers, Luke and Owen. Then it's actually written by Owen. It was co-written by Owen Wilson and Wes Anderson. Definitely has all of the like, you can see the Wes Anderson touch on it, and like how that would evolve into as Wes Anderson films go. But it's a little more grounded. It's a little more like it's not like Grand Budapest Hotel or even like Tenenbaums. It's a very grounded story. So basically, Luke Wilson plays this guy who is in he checks himself into like a mental facility. In fact, opening of the movie is pretty funny. So like, Luke Wilson has voluntarily checked himself into this facility, and he's going to check himself out, but he makes Owen Wilson believe that he has to break out, because like Owen Wilson's all about like trying to break him out, and Luke Wilson like doesn't have the heart to tell him that like, no, you don't really have to break me out. So when the doctor comes to tell Luke Wilson goodbye, there's like a sheet hanging out the window. He's going to climb out the window, and he goes, "What?" And he's like, "Look, like my buddy's here, and like I don't have the heart to tell him." Like I'm like, so is it okay if I just do this just to like appease him? And they're like, "Sure." Like, okay. So
I've changed my mind on Wes Anderson. He went to UT.
Oh, did he? Okay, there you
go.
Yeah. There you go. I knew he was from this area, our area, because I want to say the next movie in his filmography, which is Rushmore, I want to say that was filmed in Houston. Like that was, but I could be wrong. So next week you'll probably hear me talk about Rushmore because I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, it was. He used St. John's, which is where he went to school here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's everything I watched. I don't have a. I have a mini DoorDash incident. I guess I'll throw out there. Nothing. It's not as bad. It's not as good as the ones we've had in the past. So yesterday, we ordered Wingstop, but we ordered it through the Wingstop app, but they deliver it using DoorDash.
Uh-huh.
So I placed the order, and then I had to run to the store to grab something. So I'm leaving, and I run to the store like by our house, like so I'm like 2 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving the store. I get in my car. My phone rings, and it says DoorDash on the caller ID. Pick it up, and the person on the other end of the line, I don't think English was their first language, and I don't mean that in a rude way. I just based on the conversation, and I said because I had to like say hello like 3 times, and the person says, "I'm outside" or something to the effect. I'm like, okay, like you could just leave the food at the like. Just,
this is not their first. This was their first rodeo.
I guess so. Like, so I was like, and so I said, okay, and they're like, all right, and then they hang up. And so luckily, when I got home, because like I said, I'm 2 minutes away. So I get home and walk in, and my wife had gotten the food, but it was just kind of a weird. I was like, well, at least they were friendly about it, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the best I could do. And quick update on the cat. We're still trying to get him. He's still fine. He's
still alive.
He's still alive. He's still coming out. He's still eating, drinking, all that good stuff. Using the litter box, but we just can't get him out long enough to like actually interact with him. I guess. So, whew. All right, buddy.
So we got some stuff to talk about because I finished the first season of Severance this week.
All right.
Excellent show. You and a couple of other people have mentioned that they thought it started slowly. I didn't think so because I was in as soon as you figure out that his neighbor is his boss, which is at the end of episode 1.
Right. So for me, it wasn't that it started slowly. There's like a lull in like the middle of the season to me. So like, yeah, so you're right. Like the first episode is like, oh, okay, now we're off. All right, and then there's kind of like the episode with the dance party. Like that, I feel like right around in there is when it kind of got a little.
That's when the dance party is what set off Dylan to bite Milchick because he had seen his son the day before. Right. So that's
right. So okay, so I remember that moment when you realize that they can be. And spoiler alert for season 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, but when you realize that they can, they have that. What is it called?
It's the overtime contingency.
The overtime contingency. When you realize that, it's like okay,
now we got something here.
Now we've moved on to another level here.
The only thing I thought like they dragged out a lot was like Irv kept wanting to go see Bert, which I think was kind of the driver to like. I think it was more just like a driver to get them out of the office more than anything. But that they just kept kind of like running that over and over, and that felt repetitive at a point.
What helps with that, in my opinion, is that you have 2 of the best actors in the world, John Turturro, and Christopher Walken. Like if those are 2 other actors, that whole thing, I don't think works as well. For me, and when you and I were texting about this, I think the brilliant part of the brilliance of the show is that it wasn't until the last episode of the season that it connected for me that Helly was who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Her Audi was who she was.
Yeah,
That.
you know something's up with her, and
Right,
you also kind of think there's something going on with the Mark's wife's thing, and
right,
because they were kind of connecting, I was like, I wonder what if she was his wife out there, but something happened that wasn't a car, and then you see him putting the photo together, and you can tell he's like keeping his thumb on the face, like you're like, okay, this is going to be a big
right.
reveal at the end, and then it didn't click. Like I didn't recognize the face immediately when I saw it. I was like, oh wait,
Mm,
it's
yeah.
the therapist lady.
Yep. Miss
Um,
Casey.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to Dylan. Dylan was had a bit of a thing for. He cracks me up. He was funny. He's
Oh yeah, he's. Yeah. So I will say, season two. I'm not going to spoil anything, but season two gets a little bit. I don't think the lightheartedness. It's not as much there. There are some lighthearted moments, but like they're more fewer and far between. I would
Mhm.
say. But it's great. But again, the credit I'll give the show is that they have nailed both season finales.
Yeah, the
Like,
season one finale was like,
yeah,
and leading into that because you get because I woke up. I think it was Monday morning, and so I was like, I'm gonna watch episode 8, and then maybe tonight I'll watch episode 9. And
mm,
so I watch episode 8, and it ends with Dylan is able to click the thing
yeah,
together, so it turns, and so you see
yeah.
him like, and everybody like is coming out into their innie, and so I was like, okay, that's it. We're going on to the episode, and so my oldest daughter comes down at that point. No, it was
Oh
Sunday.
yeah,
Yeah,
you told me
I
this.
told her, I was like, you got to go back upstairs 10 more minutes. I got to finish this because they had also like started dropping like f bombs or something on the show, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
okay, I was like, okay, you got to go back upstairs. There's no way I can like let you just like sit in with me on this last 10 minutes of this show.
yeah. You don't want to have a Jerry and Timmy.
No, this yogurt is so good.
Exactly. Don't
Um,
want to have that. But no, look, yeah, I'm interested to see what you think of season two. It's it's so what I'm glad is that because I started watching it, and I probably mentioned this on the show when I was watching it. I kind of just started watching it just like because season two had been advertised a lot,
mhm.
and I didn't realize that like there was 3 years in between the end of season one and beginning of season two.
Yeah, I hope that
I
doesn't
watched
happen
it.
again.
Right. Well, Ben Stiller said that's not going to happen, or he
Okay.
doesn't hope. He also doesn't hope it happens. But Ben Stiller, son of our favorite Jerry Stiller, Frank
Hmm.
Costanza. We
What
should.
the hell does that mean?
My son isn't clever enough to hatch a scheme like
Something like
this.
this.
Um, but yeah, so I watched it. I want to say I finished it like a week or two before season two started, and that turned out to be like we were talking about with Breaking Bad earlier. Like that turned out to be the best thing because then I could,
Keep up with it. Yeah.
keep up with it. Uh, yeah, I think it's good. There's a couple other Apple TV shows I got my eye on to start watching, but let you continue on with your.
Yeah. New episode of Wheel of Time came out this week. Continues to. This is the best season by far. So if you're, um, it's built. It's gotten better every season, but this season's definitely been the best. Got so we've got 2 episodes left in this season. I also watched the NCAA Final Four, which I thought we got two great semifinal games, and we got a great finals game. We got um we have I haven't heard this mentioned enough, but Florida got down in every single game that they played. They were
Yeah,
down to UConn. They were down to uh gosh, who else was
Texas
it?
Tech.
Texas
Texas Tech.
Tech. They were down to Texas Tech. They were down to Auburn going into halftime, and they were down to Houston. And Houston just one of the bigger choke jobs I've seen. The other of which was Duke, which also could not make a
Right.
shot. Then had a terrible the foul call on Cooper Flag in the on the rebound was also
Yeah.
pretty bad because that gave Houston the chance to take the lead on the free throws, which I thought was pretty. So that was bad, but Duke just couldn't. They got a few good looks during that run where they couldn't hit anything. They just couldn't hit
Yeah.
field goals. But all the games were great. And then also listened to a couple of new things. I think this is my favorite album of 2025 so far. Forever How Long by Black Country New Road.
Okay.
British kind of folk pop band. Pretty good.
Like Mumford and Sons type.
I'm not a
Not
big
as poppy.
more I'm not a big Mumford and Sons person. So I'm probably the
Except
wrong
for
person to ask.
Ted Lasso,
Oh,
because
that's true.
he does. Mumford does the theme song to Ted
Oh,
Lasso. But,
yeah. So that one gets a pass. Um, and then I listened. I need to go back because I didn't get a good thorough listen to it, but I listened to most of the new My Morning Jacket album. Um, it's
and
not.
who alerted you to that new
You
album?
did, yeah. You told me there was a new album out, which I did not know. This one,
By which, for what it's worth, I haven't listened to the whole thing. I
okay.
listened to like a couple
I
songs.
listened to the first. I started listening to the first song, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna hate this album." And then I got into it. The first song wasn't very good, but then everything else I thought was good. But it's probably not. It's no Evil Urges. I'll put it that way. So it's got some good stuff, but
Yeah,
it's not their best.
yeah, yeah. I've been listening. So the band Goose that I've talked about on the show before, they have a new album coming out at the end of this month, and they've kind of been slowly releasing a single every week, 2 weeks.
That reminds me. This
Um,
last week, I actually was in the gym and found a band called Geese.
yeah,
So,
yeah, there is, but they're more Geese is more like prog
yeah, they're more.
rock,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Goose is jam band, so they're. I mean, they kind of
Well, if you get two goose, one you get one goose and then you have another one, then you get geese. So it's just the
right.
same band with doubled up.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. Uh, let's see. My Morning Jacket. What was I looking for here?
Good
You
question.
said evil. You said
Evil.
Evil Urges was there. This?
That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you and I first started discussing music,
Mm-hmm.
I think we quickly, I quickly realized that My Morning Jacket was your jam, as it
Yeah.
were. And I want to say Evil Urges was the first album I listened to because I remember it had uh, some of their bigger hits on it. So
Yeah, I have a vinyl copy of that one too. And I will say the this Friday we get two new albums. We get a new Turnpike Troubadours album, and we get
okay.
a new Mars Volta album. And
Oh,
then in 2 weeks after that, we get a. This is a very pop band, Beach Bunny. We'll also be releasing a new album. I don't think
think I've heard of.
they're probably not your scene. I would guess.
I've heard of Bad Bunny, but not Beach Bunny.
No, this is very different music styles.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I know Goose has their album coming out. I think the 25th. If that's a Friday or
that's the same week as
I don't.
the Beach Bunny
I,
album.
yeah, I don't know of any other. I honestly don't know of any other. Like the only bands I really listen to are like Dave Matthews Band, which I don't think they have anything new coming out for a while. I will say, going back to Donnie Darko, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
loved the needle drop of Tears for Fears. Head over, I think it was Head Over Heels.
I want to say
It's
that
it's when
that movie had a pretty good soundtrack. I
it
want to,
did, yeah.
yeah.
But like that drop, so that this is when he goes to school after the inciting incident of the movie. I guess
Mm-hmm.
we'll say. He goes to school and like there's a shot that starts out sideways and then the camera like he straightens up.
Uh-huh.
And that song that's playing, that's Tears for Fears, Head Over Heels, which is it's from their, I think that's from the album Songs from the Big Chair, which is like their biggest album. So I did want to mention that. All right, anything else
I think we covered it.
we want to talk about? Do we want to? I guess before we get into NFL, do we want to talk about? We mentioned it last week, but I didn't give you a chance to speak your piece about your beloved Grizzlies firing
Taylor Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Which the apparently firing their coach in the middle with 10 games left to go gave the Nuggets
an idea.
Idea. Hey, if they can do that, we can do it too. They also fired their GM. So, I mean, I think Jenkins had done a pretty good job to this point, and the Grizzlies were usually a pretty good defensive team, and this year they have not been that. And so you kind of wonder if he'd lost the locker room at this point. And I think it's just let's see. They have this guy, Thomas Isola.
Okay.
It's Finnish. His last name's Finnish, so
All right.
but I think it was like
Taylor Jenkins is also finished, but that's
he is. They are, yes. So I think the idea was like, let's see what this guy can do, and let's give him a little bit of a trial run and see if we like him, so that they can have like an extended job interview basically with him, and then I'd actually like to see him bring in Mike Malone, to be honest, now that he's available.
So so like with Malone, so I mean, my favorite thing about the Malone, and who was the GM? Chris Brooks, was that the name of the GM? They got I can't remember
Brooks.
the GM. Mel Brooks, yes, yeah. Mel Brooks. But my favorite tweet about that whole situation is like, so the guy who traded Luka still has a job, but these two guys don't. Okay. So I just wanted to, for context here, as we're recording this, Memphis currently holds the 5th seed in the West.
Booth.
And the 4th seed. Booth, thank you.
Calvin Booth. Not John. No relation to John Oaks.
We were talking about Lincoln earlier.
Yeah.
But Memphis currently holds the 5th seed in the West. They have Denver and Memphis have the exact same record as we're talking right now. They're both 47 and 32.
It's not good enough.
Wouldn't it be funny if they played each other in the first? Right now they play each other.
That's what someone on the Chris Vernon show was like. We have to play them now just because it feels like destined to in the 4-5 matchup there.
But the best I thought of this because when I heard, obviously the news of firing Malone comes out first, and then 30 minutes later, it's like, oh, by the way, we fired our GM too. And it reminded me of one of, I think, your favorite episodes of Seinfeld, which is The Betrayal. If you remember in that episode, the George and Jerry storyline is Jerry sets George up with Nina. Who Jerry dated, but they never had physical activity.
There were no awkward pauses.
No awkward pauses, right. But then at the beginning of the episode, end of the story, Memento style, there's a point where George says, all right, Nina, you got to make a choice. Is it me or him? And she's like, neither.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like this Denver thing was. Like one of them told the owners, like, okay, it's me or him. And they went, neither. Both get out.
Yeah.
You
slept with the groom?
Jerry
slept with Nina. I slept with Pinner. You slept with the groom?
Shout out to Donnie, the Broncos / Nuggets fan, who I messaged when I got this news, and he alerted me to sounds like Malone and Booth were trying to sabotage each other, and the owner was like, you know what, you can both get out.
It's a real play now situation on both ends.
And then I have to say this. Now, again, I'm a Mavericks fan. I've been a Mavericks fan, but I do keep up with the Pelicans because obviously, being a Saints fan, there's a lot of overlap. And somebody tweeted a couple hours after this all came down. Somebody's like, the brass in New Orleans has always liked Mike Malone. I'm like, oh boy, they're going to get their hopes up and
and have them
it
dashed on the
sounds like
rocks.
well, that sounds like when Dennis Allen got fired. It's like, well, the Saints like Aaron Glenn, and later. So, but yeah, it's so weird. Like the NBA is so weird. I read somewhere. I forget who the reporter was. I want to say it was Ramona Shelburne or one of those folks at ESPN who were basically like, you realize both of these guys are going to have jobs next season, right? Like they're not.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Mike Malone won a championship 2 seasons ago, and I love the best comparison I heard about what Denver did. If you extrapolate it to like the NFL, it would have been like last season in like week 16 if the Rams fired McVay and Snead just out of the blue. Like that basically would be the analogous situation. So
You say you keep up with
yeah.
the Pelicans. I have some bad news, Paul. They will not be participating this year in the playoffs.
No, yeah, I knew that. The Mavericks are like barely hanging on. That's the other thing about. So I don't really follow. I'll probably watch more of the playoffs, but like I just looked today, and the difference between the 3 seed in the West, who's the Lakers right now, and the 8th seed in the West, who's the Timberwolves, is 2 games.
Well, the Grizzlies were the 8th seed like 2 days ago.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And then you have the Mavericks are clinging to that coveted 10th spot to get in that play-in.
Everybody loves the play-in.
The East is like set. The Eastern Conference is set. They've got all the playoff teams are set. All the play-in guys are set. Like they're done. But
the
West
good. My Sixers bet to not make the playoffs cashed. Then
there you go.
There's
there's a feather in your cap. They entered the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, as it were. But yeah, so anything else you want to talk about NBA wise before?
No, I think that's enough enough basketball. Our teams are pretty miserable this year.
I mean, yeah, I will probably. I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to be.
The Grizzlies superstar is getting fined for pointing finger guns at people.
Lord. Well, yeah, and Jaws had a pretty. He's had a pretty storied history of like maybe not making the best decisions.
Yeah, but finger guns versus. I mean, we still got Miles Bridges in the league over here. Like, let's like take a step back and look at the priorities here, Mr. Silver.
Yeah, I am going to be interested to see what the Lakers do with Luka and LeBron. How about the Houston Rockets, man? Second in the West, clinched the division.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised.
They were horrible like 2 years ago, or even last year they weren't. But then they have the coach from Boston, right? The one that had to leave Boston.
Yeah.
Udoka, yeah.
Speaking of people with less questionable histories.
Yeah, well, that's a shame. All right, so let's move from the round ball to the oblong ball.
The egg ball.
The egg ball. Let's talk about some news and notes here. We'll start with both of our teams. I guess for the Saints, the big news. Okay, let me just start with this, Brandon. I'm so ready for this draft cycle to be over. Like, just I don't know if it's because we do this show every week, so we have to find things to talk about and all that stuff. But like,
I
Like
think
this draft cycle for some reason has just weighed on me.
I
It's
feel like
like I'm at the point
I
where-
feel like it gets this way every year. It's like you're really excited for draft season. You're kind of looking at prospects. Who do I like? Who do I not like? And then eventually,
right,
because of the 24-hour news cycle,
right,
it's just it's like, okay, let's just get
and
this over with, please.
and now we're at a point where, and we'll kind of look at this here in a minute, but now we're at a point where it feels like the first 3 picks of the draft are maybe not in pen, but in like pretty heavy pencil.
Washable marker,
And
we'll say.
washable marker, sure. Erasable ink, maybe.
Yeah.
But like, and so now it's like, okay, well, what happens? What are the Patriots? So for a while it was, what are the Titans going to do? Are they going to trade out? Oh, okay, they're going to take Cam Ward. All right, well, now what are the Browns going to do? And now it's like, oh, the Browns are going to take Travis Hunter. It looks like, all right. What are the Giants? Are the Giants going to take Shador? And then news comes out that the Giants met with Abdul Carter over the weekend. So it's like, okay, well, so, and then you have all these draft experts who are basically saying like, yep, it's going to be Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. That's going to be your top 3 picks. Order of 2 and 3 may vary depending on what Cleveland decides to do. But the from a Saints perspective, the big, I guess, cloud of uncertainty right now is Shador Sanders. So obviously, Shador had they didn't call it a pro day. They called it like a showcase or whatever at Colorado Friday. Notably, well, I don't know how notable it is, but I made note of it. Kellen Moore did not attend the showcase, but they did send, I believe, Scott Tolzien, and Keith Williams, the receivers coach, were there.
J.R.R. Tolzien.
J.R.R. Tolzien, yes. Cowboy legend, Scott Tolzien. Or Cowboy coaching legend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Want to make sure we get that right. So they were there. And again, if you read into things like this, Kellen Moore was at Jackson Dart's pro day. He was at Will Howard's pro day. He was at Cam Ward's pro day, but he wasn't at Shador's showcase day or whatever. But now the big, Saints, for what it's worth, the Saints are the betting favorites to pick Shador Sanders. And what that means,
and how does that make you feel, Paul?
So look, we've kind of been through this. If you told me in September or October that this could be a possibility, and Dennis Allen was our head coach, I'm like, nope, don't want that. But now with Kellen Moore, who's obviously, I think Kellen Moore's best selling point is he's worked with various styles of quarterback. He's worked with Dak Prescott. He's worked with Justin Herbert. He's worked with Jalen Hurts. And he's to varying degrees of success adapted himself for those quarterbacks. Obviously, the Herbert experiment didn't go as well with the Chargers, but that notwithstanding. So I've come around to it. I'll say that. I like if the Saints stick at 9 and pick Shador, I'm not going to be upset. If they stick at 9 and pick Jackson Dart, I'm not going to be upset.
You know who will be upset, of course? Mr. Carr.
Oh, well, I could care less. Yeah, and I mean, look, it's really, and this just goes back to like what we talked about with the whole Carr situation. It's like they restructure his deal, they do all this, but then they're out there openly looking for a new quarterback. So it's like, okay, so you just
renewed your wedding vows, and you're out there working the corner.
You're on Tinder, yeah,
trying to swipe.
Yeah, you're swiping right, swiping left. So yeah, look, I almost wonder if like selecting Shador or Jackson Dart at 9, if that's like the final straw. Because look, it's been widely. Shout out to the guys at Saints Block Party podcast. They've been on it since since free agency started, Derek Carr does not want to be with the Saints. Like he's not happy. Now, does that mean he's going to like hold out? I don't know. I wouldn't expect to see him at voluntary minicamp here in next week or whenever it is. So we'll see. I mean, and we had talked about before, come July 1st, do the Saints maybe trade Carr to a team that didn't get a quarterback, but then you look at it, well, Tennessee's probably going to get Cam Ward. So that cancels that out. Cleveland, my guess is Cleveland's going to go after Kirk Cousins, which is basically the same scenario in Atlanta as it is in New Orleans. The Giants have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, so you can count them out. The Steelers, I sounds like the Steelers have Aaron Rodgers, but
who knows?
I don't know. And I don't imagine the Steelers being in a hurry to go to get Derek Carr. I don't think that would be their play. I mean, and then
who did Seattle traded? They Sam Darnold. That's it. Okay.
They traded Geno and then they signed Sam Darnold. That was kind of the wrench, the monkey wrench in the whole thing, because when Geno got traded to Vegas, Darnold then goes to Seattle instead of saying Minnesota or going to what was the one? There was what was the place everybody said Darnold was going to? I can't remember, but
San Francisco.
No. They've got their own problems.
Yeah, I'm looking at just like the list of teams and going through it, and I don't see anywhere like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's the Saints. I don't want to say best hope, but like at this point, they kind of would have somebody would have to get injured, or
the Colts.
Like no, but they brought they got Danny Dimes,
for competition.
We will not be besmirching the good name of Danny Dimes on this podcast. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you're either gonna have to have an injury, or even if Tennessee selects Cam Ward, do they
want a veteran presence?
I mean, do you want Cam Ward learning from Will Levis? I don't know. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I can see, and I think I've said this on the show before, but I'll just say it again. If you, as a Saints organization, if your goal for 2025 is to get the most out of Derek Carr and maybe compete for the division, you're not drafting a quarterback at 9. At 40 in the second round, maybe. Maybe you trade up from the second round to the back end of the first. That's fine. And I wouldn't hate that either, depending on what you have to give up. But Shedeur is not lasting. I don't think Shedeur is lasting all the way. I mean, he's meeting with Pittsburgh today or tomorrow. So that sounds like, which that would be. Okay, so think about this. Let's just. George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers, Shedeur Sanders in the same locker room.
I think if the Steelers end up with Shedeur, they don't end up with Rodgers. I feel like that.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I have a hard time seeing that happening.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, just gut feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and then maybe Rodgers ends up. The funny landing spot for Rodgers after that would be Minnesota, honestly, because it was like he just follows the Favre career path, and
he hasn't sent any pictures of himself to Jets cheerleaders yet, or
sideline
not
yet.
Not
yet.
Yet.
Yeah, not yet. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, his former fiance, Shailene Woodley, she got cast in the second season of Paradise, one of my favorite shows of the year.
I heard she's weird.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. She seems like she seems
like a match for Aaron.
I mean,
based on.
No, apparently Aaron did a number on her. from what I heard. But
I heard Odell Beckham Jr. does a number on people too. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. I mean, again, for the Saints, that's so. I mentioned to you off mic that Rich Eisen had he did a top 5 on his show today of like top 5 teams that should trade into the top 5 and who they should trade into the top 5 for. He mentioned the Saints as trading into the top 5 to get Shador. Again,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think you need to at this point, though. That's the thing.
Well, so the two teams in front of, if they really do want Shador, then the two teams in front of them that potentially would also want him are the Raiders at 6, maybe the Jets at 7. And if the Steelers really want him, then the Steelers could come all the way from 21, to jump him. But again, you have to find a trade partner at that point. And I know it's been pretty much written in ink that like Ash Genti's going to the Raiders. That seems like almost a done deal. The Patriots at 4. So like Mina Kimes on her show, she had your guy Dane Brugler on to do like a mock draft, and the way she does it is she gives the guest 2 options. So she'll say like, all right, Titans at 1, it's either Cam Ward or Abdul Carter, and then they go for it. When she got to the Patriots, she said you can draft Will Campbell or you can trade the pick to the Saints. And Brugler's like, well, let's trade it to the Saints. And so the Saints came up and picked Shador at 4. I don't remember what but it's like it was. I feel like
this is kind of the same way that the athletic football show was doing theirs. They have a guy doing it, but Robert Mays, who's the host, will give you here's the 4 scenarios we got here. You can draft the best defensive player available. You can try to shore up the offensive line. You can draft an offensive player. So we'll give them scenarios because these are what the team needs are. Yeah. Here's the different routes you can take with it.
Yep. So yeah, I don't. If they do stick it, go ahead.
Did Eisen have something for the Cowboys to trade up for?
He did. Do you want me to go through that now?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So his number 1 with a bullet on his list was the Cowboys need to trade up to 2 and draft Travis Hunter.
I'm actually okay with that one. Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's A, fun, B, awesome, 3, he could potentially fill 2 needs, which the Cowboys need, and you're getting a top 5 player at both positions. Like he's a good receiver and a good defensive back.
I think Todd McShay said he'd be the number 1 receiver if he was a receiver.
That's. I think I've heard other people say that as well.
Yeah. So I mean, and so he said that's what, and there has been rumblings that the Cowboys like Travis Hunter, which would make sense. I mean, look, they obviously had Dion once upon a time, but Dion didn't play both ways. Did he play both ways?
They would use him. So he was a punt returner, kick returner, obviously, but they would use him occasionally in offensive packages, which I feel like I don't know if he'll play full time both ways, but he's probably he'll be able to do more of it than Dion was. And so,
but I think so. So that was Rich's like Cowboys coming all the way from 12 to 2, which that's really the only way they could do it because I don't think the Giants are going to be in too big a hurry to trade back from 3 with the Cowboys.
Last time the Giants traded back with traded with the Cowboys, I think it was the Cowboys traded back with them and got Micah Parsons.
Oh, well,
yeah.
There you go. Speaking of Micah Parsons,
still nothing.
Yeah, and doesn't look like Dak's getting That's what they're going to do. They're going to trade Dak to Cleveland.
Oh yeah, that's right. With the very reliable source.
Yeah, with his untradeable contract.
Yeah. I do have I don't know if you've been following. Do you follow the 30 visits for the Saints?
I do. So not as much as I have in previous years because like I learned over the past few years that like they really don't mean anything. Like they mean something, but they don't like.
See, the Cowboys actually tend the guys on their 30 visit list are guys that they are the guys that they draft tend to be guys on their 30 visit list. So I tend to pay pretty close attention because they tend to mean something. So I've got the Cowboys list so far. So they've got three of the wide receivers: Tet, Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State, and Luther
Yep.
Burden III. Matthew Golden will be coming in Thursday for a visit. Both Ohio State running backs, Judkins and Henderson. Basil Tootin, Rootin' Tootin,
Rootin' Tootin', yeah.
Rootin' Tootin from Virginia Tech. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
Okay.
Kelvin Banks and Jonah Savanaya.
Savanaia, I believe.
Savanaia. Okay, that was close. Shamar Stewart.
He's a tackle / guard from Arizona.
Yep. Shamar Stewart, Mikael Williams, James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, Alfred Collins from UT, Siobhan Revel Jr. from Eastern Carolina. And
so he is. I think we've talked about it on the show before. He was widely considered. He would be the number one corner in this draft, maybe except for Travis Hunter. But he's coming off an ACL injury. So.
And Andrew Makuba from Texas.
Yeah, your guy from Texas.
Yeah, so we got three Longhorns plus Matthew Golden coming in Thursday. So not a bad little list, I think.
So I'm glad you brought this topic up because I wanted to shout out on Twitter at BoogCB, BOOGCB. He has a website called NFLvisits.com where he tracks the visits. Some of the ones you just mentioned, he doesn't have, but that's probably because they haven't happened yet, maybe officially. So so let's just run through the Saints real quick. Their top 30 visits that they've had. And we should point out, because this is what confused me. So when they say top 30, this doesn't necessarily mean that these are going to be first-round picks. It's just they get 30 total visits.
Correct.
And so when I go through some of these names, you might be like, they're going to draft that guy in the first round? No, not necessarily.
You never know with the Saints.
I think this guy was on the Cowboys list. Tedero McMillan,
correct?
Right, Arizona receiver. Jalen Walker, the edge from Georgia, who, again, the guy Ryan and Adam at Saints Block Party podcast are pretty excited. Would be pretty excited about him. He might be a good piece in the Brandon Staley defense. Siobhan Revell, we just talked about.
Yep,
from East Carolina. Arante Ursary, who's an offensive lineman from Minnesota. Dion Walker, who's a big defensive tackle from Kentucky. He had a lot of steam coming out of the season. Like I think some people were thinking he might be a first round pick, and then he didn't test well at the combine. I think he kind of underachieved at the Senior Bowl. So now he's looking like second, third round material. Jonas Sanker, who's a safety out of it says Virginia, but the logo next to him is Virginia Tech. So
you keep going. I'll look him up.
Sure. Ollie Gordon II, running back from Oklahoma State. Oluwafemi Oladejo. Apologize. Oladejo. He's an edge rusher from UCLA. I've heard good things about him. He tested well at the combine.
So Jonas Sanker did go to Virginia, not Virginia Tech.
So he's a Cavalier, not a Hokie.
Not a Hokie.
No. Jarquez Hunter, running back from Auburn, and then 2 Florida Gators, Cam Jackson, defensive tackle, and Shamar James, a linebacker. And then they have their combine. So they did meet with Shador at the combine, as it says here. They also met with Quinn Ewers, your guy from Texas.
Ashton Genty.
I know they also Ashton Genty, Cam Scatabo. So I definitely feel like they're gonna come out of this draft with a skill player of note, I guess is what I'll, if that makes sense. So like they met with Travion Henderson also at the combine. They met with Tyler Warren. They met with your guy Isaiah Bond out of UT,
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, so we'll see. So I'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, I tend not to look at that too much, but we'll keep an eye on it. What about the rest of the NFL here? You got any other notes?
The only thing I saw is Gino got a contract extension, so good for him.
Which kind of makes me think the Raiders are not going to draft Shador at 6. I mean, you remember when we started the offseason, we were like, Shador to the Raiders, like lock it in.
Right.
It's happening. And then obviously they trade for Gino. They give him an extension. Now the Raiders could still draft a quarterback round 2. They're kind of in the same situation as the Saints, where, but they probably feel a little better about Gino than the Saints do about Carr. If I would be so bold to say. Right now, like I said, the pick for the Raiders feels like Genty at this point.
That's the hot gossip, right? Or that's the sexy pick, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that feels like it. The Patriot. So I guess. Yeah, the Patriots, they're going to get they probably felt pretty good about a week ago because they thought, okay, well, if 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3, then we'll end up with either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and now it looks like they're not going to end up with either one.
Right.
So we'll see. So they'll probably end up with the best offensive tackle that they can find for.
Which is probably what
Drake.
they need anyway.
Yeah, I would say so. All right, so we'll kind of keep the draft theme alive here. We'll transition to our next segment, one of our favorite segments here. We're going to watch the Watchers.
I'm watching the Watchers, Derek. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right.
All right. Yeah, uh-oh is right. So we kind of alluded to some mock drafts here, but we're going to look at 2, maybe 3. But let's start with the man himself, Mel Kiper, whose latest and I think final mock draft of the cycle got released today as we're recording this over on ESPN.com. And he did a 2-round mock draft. So he, for the Saints, as we talked about a minute ago, he has the Saints going with Shador Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
He actually has Shador ranked, has Shador ranked number 1. He has him ranked ahead of Cam Ward, which is not
the consensus. No.
So,
Mel's going bold there.
That's kind of bold. Speaking of bold, at number 2, I don't think he's changed his pick in all of his mock drafts for the Cowboys. He still has Omarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina, as your.
See, the thing is, I like Omarion Hampton, but I don't want him at 12 like that. That's no thanks.
No.
No,
you'd rather trade up and get Travis Hunter, right?
I'd rather trade up in Travis Hunter or trade back and get Omarion Hampton.
Yeah. Yeah, I I didn't. I don't know if we talked about this. Did we talk about the Cowboys signing Miles Sanders, former
I don't think we
Eagle?
did. No, they
I think that was while you
overseas.
were in overseas. Yeah, I know we talked about Javante Williams. I think you were you okay happy with that? Not happy with that? I don't
It's
remember.
fine. Like it's a
Yeah.
low risk, low reward type of
Yeah.
signing.
Uh, another guy that see this is another thing. We're at this point in the process where there are a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys I would like the Saints to have, but they can't have all of them. Obviously, um, your guy Jade Barron from UT.
He goes off the
I
board
think
pretty quick.
yeah, he goes off the board at 13 to the Dolphins, which I guess I should have mentioned. Teron Armstead, Saints legend. Teron Armstead announced his retirement this week, so feels like the Dolphins are going to be looking for offensive line, but I guess they could use help in the secondary. They also could use some help getting rid of Tyreek Hill. It sounds like they're trying to shop him, as it seems. Let's just for yucks here. Let's look it through the UT. So Jade Barron would be the first Longhorn off the board, I believe, at 13.
hmm
And then at 16, you have Matthew Golden, Golden Boy. Uh, is he the first receiver off the board?
He is. Wait,
Except for Travis Hunter.
well, where did Tet go in this one?
No, I think he's got Tet going like later.
Like way
Yeah,
later.
he's got way later. So he's got so Golden to the Cardinals. That'd be a fun pairing, Matthew Golden with Marvin Harrison Jr. Now you got yourself a team. Uh, much like when George wanted to trade for Bonds and Griffey for the
Yeah.
Yankees. Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, he's going to Seattle. If Mel's right here, yeah. Tedero McMillan to the Broncos, which that'd be a good pickup for the Broncos, but uh, I haven't seen him fall that far. And then I thought I saw another Longhorn here. Maybe not. Nope, I think that's all the Longhorns in the first round. Any other first round selections that
No,
pique
but
your
I would
interest?
just kind of carry this on into the second round because he's got like the wide receivers he's got falling pretty good. The like we talked about Tet, and then we
Yep.
got Ibuka not coming off the board until 36 to Jacksonville, and then
And again, that's a good pairing with Ibuka and Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville.
yeah, and then you got Luther Burden the third going to New England.
Ooh, that would be great for New England because if especially since they missed out on Hunter in the first round, if they can get Burden at 38, they'd be pretty good. Also, we should mention Mel has 3 quarterbacks going in the first round. So we talked about Shador to the Saints at 9, obviously Cam Ward at 1 to the Titans. He's got Jackson Dart going 26 to the Rams, which kind of makes sense with Stafford.
They need to do some secession planning.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But then at the top of the second round, he's got Tyler Shuck from Louisville going to Cleveland.
What the shuck?
I mean, look, right now, Cleveland's starter as it sits right now would be Kenny Pickett. So, well, I think
that
Cleveland's
depends on Mr.
the
Cousins.
Cousins thing.
Yeah.
The Cousins thing. And then he has the Giants at 34 taking Jalen Milroe
Good luck.
from Alabama, who Jalen Milroe also worked out privately with Saints. And I know there's some folks in the Saints organization that like him.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. Speaking of the Saints, Mel at 40 has the Saints going Azariah Thomas, I believe, from Florida State corner. Look, I mentioned them maybe taking Barron in the first round. Like they need a corner. They obviously we don't have Lattimore anymore. We have Cooley McKinstry. We have Alontae Taylor, but Alontae Taylor is better suited, I think, to play in the slot than he is outside on an island, as it were. But yeah, so we definitely could use a corner.
He has the Bears taking my boy, Travion.
Yeah, I was gonna say your guy Travion. Which shout out to Andy and Gabe and Maya, all Bears fans. They would like. I think they would be okay with that. I think he had the Bears going Tyler Warren in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, from Penn State. And then Cowboys the second round, Trey Amos, famous Amos.
I got to tell you, I know nothing about this guy.
All I know is that he started his college career at the University of Louisiana Lafayette.
Oh.
Or at one point in his career, he played at ULL, or Louisiana now. But, ended his career at Ole Miss. He's been mentioned, too, as a pick for the Saints. Again, Saints needing corner play.
You need defensive backs.
Yeah. Let's see. Siobhan Revell, that we talked about visiting the Saints and the Cowboys. Mel has him going to the Seattle at pick 50. Quinshon Judkins, the other Ohio State running back, going to Denver. So that'd be a pretty good haul for Denver if they get Tedero McMillan and Quinshon Judkins. That's pretty good. Your guy, Isaiah Bond, going to Carolina. It's pretty good.
Caleb Johnson, the
Iowa running back. That's a good pick for him going to Kansas City. That would be a good spot for him with Pacheco coming off that injury and Kareem Hunt sticking around. That'd be a good spot for him.
I don't see anything else there.
I don't see anything else. I think we caught all the Texas guys.
Yep.
Yeah, Makuba would be probably a third rounder, huh? Andrew Makuba. So that's Mel's mock draft, and then you wanted to take a look at
Maurice Jones-Drew has one, which I find Maurice Jones-Drew incredibly annoying when he actually commentates, but I did like he has the Cowboys taking Matthew Golden, which has been one of the more popular picks recently for Dallas.
And interestingly enough, he's got the Bears taking Travion Henderson, but in the first round at number 10. It might be a bit rare. Of course, he is a running. Maurice Jones-Drew did play running back, so
might be a little biased there.
He also has Travis Hunter falling to the Jets at 7, which I don't see that happening. Let's see. He's got Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Shador Sanders, Will Campbell. He's got the Jags taking Tedero McMillan. That would be a monkey wrench in things. Genty to the Raiders. That makes sense. So
this
Travis
draft
Hunter
is really all over the place, isn't it?
It really is. Jalen Walker to the Panthers. That makes sense. I do like this pick for the Saints if they don't go quarterback or skill player.
He's a Mel
Mimbu.
He's a Mel Bimbu. He's a Mimbu.
He's a Mimbu. So Mason Graham, the best defensive tackle in this draft, is going to fall to 11 in the 49ers, which just seems sick.
Defensive tackles tend to get pushed down a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, this guy has been top 5 pick. This is another. We talked about Genty to the Raiders being like in pen. Graham to the Jaguars has been in pen for a while, but in this one he's got him going McMillan, which I don't know.
I think MJD might be doing his work in crayon.
He's got Jackson Dart going to Pittsburgh, which would make sense. And then let's see if he's got any other interesting. He has Jahdae Barron falling to the Chiefs, which would be tremendous for both, I think, for Barron and for the Chiefs. And he's got the Eagles taking my guy Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State to kind of fill up the offensive line spot left by Mekhi Becton. leaving.
I feel like the late round pick, late first round pick that I feel most confident will somehow happen is Nick Imanwari to the Ravens.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
we
in
talked about that last week.
it's not in this mock, but like every time I see that guy, I was like, this is a Ravens player. Like just
Yeah, absolutely. Well, MJD has the Ravens going James Pierce.
yeah, I think he has Imanwari coming off the board before the Ravens are on the
Yeah,
clock, and that's the
He's got to go to the Vikings.
Vikings. That's right.
Another pairing I see an awful lot is Chargers and Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, which makes sense with the Harbaugh connection there.
He's got Shamar Stewart falling all the way to the Bengals at 17.
So I almost texted you this the other day. I was doing a mock draft on Pro Football Network, and it got to 9 with the Saints, and it was one of these like, you know how you do these mock drafts, and every once in a while you get like just a really random,
Somebody.
So I got to 9. Yeah, so I got to 9, and I want to say, I could be wrong, but the picks available were like Ashton Genty, Shador Sanders, Tyler Warren, either Campbell or Mimbu, and then Shamar Stewart. And I almost took a picture of it and sent it to you and said, if this is the board at 9 and the Saints take Shamar Stewart, I quit. I will not.
Do not pass go. Do not pass go. Do not.
No, I do not. Yeah, I mean, because that would be something the Saints would do, and I would not be happy.
What if the Saints draft him and he turns out to be awesome? Or what if somebody else drafts him and he turns out to be awesome? Will you feel
as long as the team that drafted him is not the Panthers or the Falcons or the Bucks, then yeah, I'm fine. It's just, look, we know the Saints' history with
defensive ends,
super athletic defensive ends. Yeah.
Well, just don't trade up for him. Don't trade up for him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's going to be it. I want you to picture this. It's draft night. So the first 3 picks happen, and then all of a sudden the Saints, it's like it pops up, and it's like the Saints have traded up to number 4 with the Patriots. And it was, oh, okay, they're gonna get Shador, and it's like
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart.
And I will watch as Paul walks into traffic.
Yeah, we might. Not far off. I did want to point out Chad Reeder, who also writes for NFL.com. He came out with a 5-round mock. We won't go through all 5 rounds, but he had the Saints picking Shamar. No, he had the Saints picking Jalen Walker, which, considering what was available at the time, like, because Tyler Warren was gone, Jackson Dart was gone, Ashton Genty was gone. He has Dart going to the Jets at 7, which I guess I could see, but I don't know. He's got Will Campbell falling to the 4. Why are they giving the 49ers all these good players? That's what I want to know.
Good question.
He's got your Cowboys picking Ted McMillan at 12. So, any other mock drafts you want to go through?
No, I think that'll do it. I think we can get to I will say before we do, in the second round, he does have the Cowboys taking Travion Henderson at pick 44.
Hey, there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
This is my
There's
kind
a
of
feather
mock.
in your cap.
There's a feather in my cap. I think it's time that we join the big boys and we stop watching the Watchers and we start becoming the Watchers. So,
well, or to put it another way, I think I feel a draft.
I think I feel a draft.
I feel a draft. Let's change tables.
Get out of here. We have a booth.
All right, so hopefully this works, Brandon. I am on pff.com for Football Focus. I'm on their mock draft simulator. I have selected the Saints and the Cowboys.
Okay.
3 rounds. I do not have PFF. I don't have a subscription, so that's 3 rounds is all I can do. I'm going to enter the draft. And what we will do is we'll let the other teams get picked by the magic of the computer. We won't do trades because you have to have a subscription with PFF to do trades. So I'm not doing that. So I'm going to start the draft. It'll pick 1 through 8. We'll maybe talk about that, and then I'll see what the Saints have available. All right, ready?
All right, let's go.
All right, let's start the draft here. Going through. Okay, so Cam Ward 1 to the Titans, Travis Hunter 2 to the Browns. Here's a wrench in things. Mason Graham 3 to the Giants. Abdul Carter to the Patriots. Will Campbell to the Jaguars. Here's another wrench. Jahdae Barron 6 overall to the Raiders.
Oh, that's a surprising one.
But didn't Longhorn legend Michael Huff, didn't he play for the Raiders?
He did. I really wanted the Cowboys to draft him. Him and Aaron Ross were like the 2 defensive backs that I really wanted Dallas to draft. And they were taken by other teams.
At pick 7, the Jets go with Shedeur Sanders. At pick 8, the Panthers go with Armand Membu. So now we're at 9. Here's what the Saints' options are. Tetairoa McMillan. I'll just give you the top 5.
Okay.
Tetairoa McMillan, Ashton Genty, Tyler Warren, Malachi Starks, who we haven't really talked about. He's a safety from Georgia, and Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama.
What are you thinking?
Okay, so for reference, PFF has the Saints' needs listed as three positions: running back, wide receiver, defensive lineman. So at this pick, so they have Tetairoa McMillan as their 3rd highest ranked player, which I don't know if I agree with.
Yeah, that's a little high for me.
So we can't pick Shedeur. Again, we're not going to do trades. However, I do have. Looks like Tampa Bay wants to trade up from 19. No, thank you.
Is Genty still on the board?
Genty is on the board, and that's where I kind of want to lean.
Shamar Stewart's still there.
Where do they have Shamar Stewart? They have Shamar Stewart. Okay. They don't even have Shamar Stewart as the best available edge rusher on the board. They have
My goodness,
just for yucks. So the best available edge rusher according to PFF is Mike Green from Marshall, then Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College, James Pierce, Mikael Williams. Shamar Stewart is 28th.
Gotcha.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I hate to disappoint my Bears fan friends. I think I'm gonna go Genty here. I mean, I guess I could see him going either McMillan or Genty or Tyler Warren. Honestly, to be honest with you, but I think you can add some years to Kamara's career. The Saints are always better when they have 2 running backs, not 1. And I think with the way Kellen Moore is going to want to build this offense, I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Ashton Genty. Any thoughts?
No, I think that's a good pick. I like Genty. Genty's just I think we have a lot more needs and something I'd rather go elsewhere for Dallas.
All right, so I went Genty at 9 for the Saints. Bears at 10 go Tyler Warren. 49ers at 11 go Tetairoa McMillan, which that doesn't feel right, but it is what it is.
Okay.
All right, so for the Cowboys. All right, at 12. So let me give you the needs first. PFF has Cowboys needs listed as running back, wide receiver, guard, and edge.
Okay.
Here are the 5 best players available, regardless of position. You have Malachi Starks, safety from Georgia, Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama, Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall, Will Johnson, corner from Michigan, and Luther Burden III, wide receiver from Mizzou.
Personally, the guy that I really like that I don't think you're going to need to draft this high would be Burden.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to draft a wide receiver here, it's probably going to be Golden.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, PFF has Golden ranked 21st overall. They have him as the third best receiver available, behind Abuka and Burden.
Okay. Yeah, so this is like one of the situations where I would be like, okay, let's try to trade down, and then maybe we could get Burden cheaper. For this exercise.
So, sorry, real quick. So, I know we're not doing trades, but it looks like Tampa Bay at 19 would want to trade up. Now I don't know what they're trading up for.
Right.
At 19, Burden would probably feel a little better. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like if but for what it's worth.
But just for the sake of what I think is going to be there, or what's a more realistic and what the way I see things, let's go ahead and take Golden off the board here.
Okay, so we're gonna go.
No,
final answer.
No, let's take my boy. I like Luther Burden. This is for us. I'm gonna take let's take my guy.
All right, so 12th overall, Dallas Cowboys select Luther Burden the third, Burden of Proof. So now I got to wait a little bit till we get to the Saints at 40. All right, so let's just do a quick recap before we do the second round pick for the Saints. Matthew Golden ended up going one pick after the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. He went to the Dolphins. What else we got here? Shamar Stewart went to the Packers. Omarion Hampton went to the Bills at 30.
Ooh, I actually like that.
Nick Emanwari went to the Chiefs at 31. And Colston Loveland somehow lasted to 32 for the Eagles, which sounds about right. That'd be... Who did the Chargers took? Walter Nolan from Ole Miss? I don't think that's going to happen, but okay, well. It is what it is. Second round, let's see. We had Darius Alexander from Toledo go to the Browns. Nick Scorton to the Giants. Caleb. So at pick 39, right in front of the Saints, Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa, went to Chicago. So here's where the Saints are. So we're at pick 40. Again, running back, receiver, defensive lineman. We went with Genty at number 9. Here's our options. We have a plethora of corner or secondary options. Siobhan Ravel, Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, who's safety out of Notre Dame, defensive lineman T.J. Sanders from South Carolina, and then finally Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. For what it's worth, wow. So I was thinking Jackson Dart. They have Jackson Dart behind. These are the quarterbacks they have ranked ahead of Jackson Dart at PFF. Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, and Riley Leonard.
This board is whack.
Yeah. So that notwithstanding, I would definitely consider, if the board fell this way, I definitely would consider Dart. Obviously, the Saints have done extensive work on the quarterback position, but also with Dart. So let's see. Let's do quarterback and receiver. I will say Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State intrigues me. Give you a quick 6'4", 215 pounds. Kind of gives you that possession receiver that you might need. He's from South Miami, Florida originally. I think we can fill the receiver need down the road. I think despite how low they have them. What's funny is, so on PFF, they'll show you their ranking, but then they also show you the average draft position.
Uh-huh.
So for Jackson Dart, his ranking is 134. His average draft position is 43.
That should tell you something,
So,
PFF.
I mean, yeah. But I'm gonna go. I'll take Jackson Dart here. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna go Jackson Dart. If you have a chance to get your potential quarterback of the future, I'll say I'm gonna take that chance here. All right, so a couple other picks go by. We're out now at pick 44 for the Cowboys. Let me give you the top 5 available here. Siobhan Revell, Xavier Watts, Jaden Higgins. We just talked about them a little bit. And then we got Tyleek Williams, defensive interior from Ohio State. And we have Landon Jackson, edge rusher from Arkansas.
What running backs are available?
Good question. Let's see. Running backs. Best running back on the board, Cam Scatabo, Dylan Sampson, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Junkins.
I think you know where I'm going with this one.
Yeah. You know where it's going.
Yeah, you know.
I got a hunched fat man I can't miss. Travion Henderson.
Travion Henderson, pull the trigger.
All right, we're so you now have gone with.
I got my 2 guys. This is like the perfect draft for me. Let's just like.
Right.
I mean, the only thing that makes this better is if we trade back and still get Burden there.
Yeah, send it in. I'm just looking. So we're now. Ooh, Cam Scatabo going to the Chargers. That's tasty. I'm just looking to see if there's any interesting picks here. Don't see anything. That one stuck out to me. This linebacker from UCLA, Carson Swessinger, going to Baltimore in the second round. That feels very Baltimore. Jalen Milroe going to the Giants at the first pick of round 3. So that. And then Quinshon Judkins. So then there's kind of a run on running backs here. Dylan Sampson to the Browns, Quinshon Judkins to the Raiders. And then Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU, goes to the Jaguars at 70, brings us to 71 with the Saints. So we've got a running back, we've got our quarterback, so receiver and defensive lineman. Saints do have 2 third-round picks thanks to the Marshawn Lattimore trade. So here's what we've got. We've got Jalen Royals, receiver, Utah State. Shamar Turner, not Shamar Stewart, but Shamar Turner from A&M, defensive interior from A&M. Receiver Kyle Williams from Washington State. Receiver Trey Harris from Mississippi. And running back R.J. Harvey from Central Florida. Also, in terms of defensive linemen, C.J. West from Indiana, Josiah Stewart from Michigan, your guy, Alfred Collins from UT.
Yeah, Alfred Collins is a guy I would be looking at for Dallas here.
So here's my thinking. And I probably would have this thinking with Shador too. If you draft Jackson Dart, so as I did in the second round, would it make sense to draft one of his college receivers, to kind of pair up with him? Like with Shador, later in the round, you draft somebody like Jimmy Horn or LaJohntay Webster, somebody like that. Trey Harris from Ole Miss is sitting right here, and he's good. He's a good player too. It's not. It's not.
Yeah,
just
as long as you're not sacrificing quality just to get him someone he's comfortable with.
True. Oh, hey, Trey Harris is from Lafayette, Louisiana. Shout out to. That's another reason to draft him.
There you go. There's a feather in your cap.
6'3", 210 pounds. Projects as a wide receiver 3 type. Well, that's what the Saints kind of need. They have Olavi and Shaheed, assuming that they're healthy all season. Jalen Royals is the best receiver on the board. 6 foot, 205. Kyle Williams from Washington State. They don't have anything really on the scout there. 6 foot, 186. That's that weight's a little light. I know Ryan from Saints Block Party podcast is a big fan of Savion Williams from TCU. His comparison for Savion was Cordero Patterson from years gone by. 6'5", 225 pounds, a wide receiver. That's pretty good size, I'd say. Oh, he's from your neck of the woods, kind of, Brandon. He's from Marshall, Texas.
Oh, that is my neck of the woods. That's the home of ETBU.
Yeah. Knew quite a few folks in college from Marshall. So I think I'm going to go. Well, hang on. Let me just look at the defensive line here. I do feel like we need to go. I've been offensive heavy. I kind of
need to revamp that defense.
Josiah Stewart from Michigan is intriguing to me. 6'1", 245. He's a defensive end. Scouting report here. Juiced up pass rusher with less than ideal measurables. Effort and leverage give him a chance to win any rep. Lacks pass rush nuance to win with more than those attributes and a good first step. Best spot in the NFL might be off-ball Sam linebacker, where he could be used as a blitzer more than just a straight edge rusher. Okay. From the Bronx, New York. If I'm going defensive line, it'd be between him or C.J. West from Indiana, who
Mr. West.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to take Collins from you. Hold on. Let me look at Shamar. I don't want Shamar Stewart, but Shamar Turner might be a different.
You want the other Shamar. Just make sure you write down the right name on the card.
Yeah, right.
How does A&M have two Shamars?
Have you heard the Cameron Jordan draft story? So year Cameron
Cameron?
Yeah. Cameron Jordan got called twice. So the team that drafted Jordan Cameron called Cameron Jordan. Now he had already been drafted to the Saints by this point.
Did you ever see the league?
Yeah, the show on FX.
Yeah, there was an episode where they had the guy after drafted Cameron Jordan, and he's like, you said Cameron Jordan, you just drafted the defensive end. No, I wanted Jordan Cameron.
Say Vandalay. Not to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I could also potentially go offensive line, but I don't think there's anybody. All right, I'm going to go with my first. I'm just going to go with Trey Harris from Ole Miss.
There you
go.
go.
With my instinct. All right, so a couple of more picks go by. We're now at Dallas at 76. So you went with Burden in the first round, Travion Henderson, and now you have pick 76 in the third round. So your missing needs, according to PFF, are guard and edge. Best available here, we got Jalen Royals, Shamar Turner, Kyle Williams, RJ Harvey, and Josiah Stewart. So in terms of strictly edge rushers, Josiah Stewart's your best available. If you want to look at guards, or interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, we do. We still do need a defensive tackle.
Okay. I don't think. Let me go back and check. Alfred Collins, I believe, is still on the board. Yeah. Alfred Collins is on the board.
Yeah, that's kind of who I like there.
And for what it's worth, they have him ranked 75th, and you're picking 76. So.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Jordan Birch, the edge rusher.
Well, he already got picked.
Oh, is he off the board? Sorry, I'm looking at I'm doing this in tandem, but some of the guys are being drafted in different orders, just so
it's not
so it's not 1-to-1.
No.
Yeah, I don't really like a lot of the defensive ends that are left here, so I think just take Collins is just like the safe pick. I feel like he's a good defensive lineman. We still need to fill out the like a 3 technique for Eberflus's system. It's kind of an important spot. There's someone to pair with Osa along the interior, and Collins is a 320 pound run stopper, which has been kind of the defense's Achilles heel lately. So I would just take Collins there.
PFF has him listed 6'5", 320. Says Collins is a long, strong interior defensive lineman with versatility to play anywhere from the 0 technique to 5 technique. So that's good. Pass rush profile and inability to disengage quickly limit his ceiling, but his versatility and strength give him a high floor.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we need. We need a guy with a high floor who's basically just going to come in and eat up blocks and be a run stopper there.
Yeah.
You've got one more pick.
I do. Hang on. Let me make this Collins pick for you. I do have one more pick. Savanaia was still he got picked now, but he was on the board. I would have loved him to blast this pick. Okay, so yeah, we have pick 93. According to PFF.
Is Makuba still on your board?
No, he went to the Ravens.
He's still here. He's still here on mine.
Yeah, well, if he was here on mine, so 2 Texas guys went back to back. 91 Makuba goes to the Ravens, and then 92 Seattle picks Vernon Broughton.
There's something rotten about that one.
So let's see. So Kyle Williams, I've still got Damian Martinez, running back from Miami. DJ Giddens, running back from Kansas State. And then Wyatt Milam, who's an offensive lineman from West Virginia. Tate Ratledge, who's a guard. He's listed as a guard from Georgia. Cameron Williams, tackle from University of Texas. I definitely feel like I'm going to go offensive line here because that's where a lot of because I've already taken Genty, so I don't need a running back. I already took. I guess you could double up on receiver. Honestly, they could double up on running back. I wouldn't hate it, but not this. We need offensive line. Tate Ratledge from Georgia. Guard is where we need somebody. And he is specifically listed as a guard. He started the majority of his. Yeah,
you're getting the value too because his average draft position is 88, and he's ranked 93, so he's right on the spot.
I want to look at Wyatt Milam for a second here. So Wyatt Milam's from West Virginia. Okay, he's played mostly left tackle, which we already have Fawanga. I thought maybe he had some more versatility to him, but doesn't seem to be the case. What about your guy, Cameron Williams? Where's he played? Mostly right tackle. Okay.
6'5", 335. It's a big boy.
Cameron?
Mm-hmm.
Another guy I'll mention, because the Saints have worked him out, I believe, is Charles Grant, who's from William and Mary. He's a tackle. So obviously there's a issue with competition, but 6'4", 300 pounds. Played the majority of his time in college at left tackle. So will not be drafting him, but just wanted to shout him out. Let me check out this guy real quick. Anthony Belton from. See, I could have sworn these guys were more versatile when I first looked at these before. Oh, another guy, that Adam over at Saints Block Party Podcast, he's a big fan of, is your guy from your boy Blue from UT, Jaden Blue. Yeah, he's big fan of him. I won't be taking him either.
Baby Blue.
Baby Blue. So I'm going to take. So with Ratledge, so he's played majority of his time at right guard. We technically need a left guard.
What about Jalen Rivers out of Miami?
Jalen Rivers.
Is he still there for you?
Let's see. He is.
Because he's got 364 snaps at left tackle and 219 at left guard this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. What's his story? Sound technician wherever he plays. Lack of athleticism, corresponding lack of answers. For quicker rushers, limits his ceiling. Oh yeah, this sounds like a Saint. 6'5", 325. That's pretty good size. I'm gonna stick with Ratledge. I appreciate you drawing my attention to Mr. Rivers there, but I'm gonna stick with Ratledge. So I will wind up. So let this wind out, and they're gonna grade our drafts. I'll let you know how we did. Although I don't know if they grade. I haven't done a lot of 2-team mock drafts.
No, I haven't. This is my first time doing one of these exercises.
Okay, so for the Cowboys, they gave us those first. So the Luther Burden pick got a B grade. Travion Henderson pick got a C grade. Alfred Collins pick got a B grade. So overall a B minus.
I'll take that. Honestly, the Burden pick is, like I said, it's if you trade back and get him, it's probably a better.
Yeah, you're gonna love this. Ashton Genty for the Saints. Ashton Genty at 9. A. What do you think they gave the Jackson Dart pick?
Not very good.
F. Trey Harris in the 3rd round at 71. They gave an A minus, and Tate Ratledge
B minus.
Gave a B minus. So overall a B minus. Bottom 33% of Saints drafts. So
where do we rank? Top 53% of Cowboys drafts.
Yeah,
not too shabby.
That's what this one's good. And then they give us the first round.
So just FYI, I told you I was following along. So I took, on my board, Genty was off when the Saints came up. So I took Jade Barron for you. That got an A minus.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
I'll take it.
I did.
Yeah, it's weird. So if you go off of if you go away from their needs, they're usually
graded poorly.
Well, it depends. So quarterback is not listed as a need, but then I also exacerbated it by taking their 4th highest quarterback.
Yeah, the guy that they don't like.
Right. So, but yeah, you can maybe quibble with the Trey Harris pick, but I've seen other Saints experts, quote unquote, go with Trey Harris. Tate Ratledge has been one that I've seen too.
Yeah, I think getting Travion Henderson at 44 is great because I've seen him kind of starting to move up a little, so I feel good about that. But they give that pick a C, so it's in the eye of the beholder, right?
That's the thing I like about Pro Football Network. Their mock draft simulator, they don't grade you; they just here's your picks.
Mm-hmm. There's no judgment there.
Yeah, exactly.
No judgy.
All right. Well, let's Do we want to wrap it up for the week here?
I think so.
Anything else we need to? So how about this? So when we come back next week, so again, the draft's we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, be on the lookout, folks. This week, I'm going to be talking to Adam and Alex from Sports Reference. They work with the Immaculate Grid side of things, so looking forward to that conversation. Hope be interviewing them on Thursday. Hopefully, have that out either late Thursday, early Friday for you guys to listen to. Looking forward to that. So yeah, next week we can maybe chat about that. We can, do you have any movies for me to watch this week?
I don't have any recommendations. I do have a new episode of my fake baseball game podcast coming out tomorrow. I've just spaced it out kind of evenly throughout the baseball season. So that'll be dropping.
So have you recorded all the episodes?
I haven't recorded all of them. I've recorded a handful. Okay. I still need to edit a few more because I've got like 4 recorded but only 2 edited, so I need to do some more editing for the next few episodes.
So for me, I mentioned earlier, I'll try to knock out Rushmore this week. I'm also gonna start watching Mission Impossible movies to get ready for that.
For me, season 2 of Severance. This week
I will. How about this for you? I will give Justified episode 1 a shot.
There you go.
If I can
fire in the hole.
If I can, here we go. If I can get that one on the books. But until next week, happy football, everybody.
Happy football.